Hi there, it's David John, the Resourceful Coach, and what we're going to do today, we're going to talk a little bit about technology, equipment, and the use of rangefinders on the golf course, and how they can be a massive asset to help you play. We're going to talk really about the versatility of a rangefinder. We tend to just think of using them for getting the distance to the flag, but what we're going to look at today is how we can use it in other ways to plod our way around the golf course. So we're here on the first tee at Corinthians. And straight away, here's our first thing we're going to use it for. We've got a couple of players down the fairway, and the best thing to say about rangefinders are, and any sort of GPS system that you use, they're only any good if you know how far you can hit the golf ball. I think that's the most important thing to do. So if you're not sure about that, get down the range, work with sort of anything like top tracer, start to understand how far you can hit each club. So I'm obviously standing on the first tee, and I've got my driver. And what we're going to look at is just see how far those players are ahead of us. And they've moved a little bit forward since. And I know I can hit my driver approximately in these conditions, probably 260, 270. And I can see using my REDTIGER, this is a sort of a new rangefinder that I've come across, which is a brilliant tool. And we're going to show you the advantage of using this. The REDTIGER rangefinder is they're about 320 yards away. So we often see this. We've got the hut here on the first tee, and the girls and the ladies who work in the hut often stand here and watch players waiting. I mean, these guys have stopped again to play probably their third shots down this par 5. And if I take a reading, they're 347 yards ahead of me, and people will still be waiting. Well, unless you've turned into Rory McIlroy overnight, you can hit your tee shot. So that's where the first way we can use this, on the tee to help up speed of play. Physically find out, know how far you can hit a driver. Those guys already nearly 350 yards away. I'm not going to reach them. Okay, I now know I can tee it up and I can play my tee shots. And again, speed of play, if you've got somebody in your group who hits it a lot less, no reason why they can't tee off first. If the guys, they're not going to even hit it 250 yards, the guys have got to that distance, let them tee off first, and then you tee off after as the players get out of the way. So we're going to play 3 holes, but we're going to show you the versatility of this great rangefinder that we've got. Let's have a little bit of fun. Show when you'll use it. There'll be times where we don't need to use it. Okay, but they're well out of the way. First swing of the day. Let's see what we can do. Okay, nicely down the middle. But as I can see, yeah, probably a good 100 odd yards, maybe 150 yards now. They've moved further on down the hole. No way I was going to hit them. So great way. We've used that rangefinder. Speed up play. They're out of the way. Let's move on. Let's go and play the rest of the hole. So I've arrived at where my tee shot ended up, and what we're going to do, how we can use the sort of rangefinder just to give you information. Okay, this is really important. You want to get as much information about your game as possible. Now, first hole here at Corinthians is quite a sloping fairway. I don't know if you can see it on the screen there, but quite a sloping fairway this way. So off the tee, it's quite sloping from sort of left to right. And it continues all the way down the hole, really until about the last 80 yards of the hole. And it's going to lose me a little bit of distance. But what I'm actually going to do, and this is the good thing with this rangefinder, this is why I like rangefinders over GPS systems like watches. I can get data anywhere, okay? So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to take a reading back to the tee box. So I've picked up the tee marker, taken a reading back to it, and it's given me an idea actually how far I hit that drive, okay? Now, how far I've hit that drive, in these conditions, it's an early Saturday morning, it's not even 8 o'clock yet in the morning, and we're looking at a drive that's gone 238 yards, okay? And again, another reason, if you know the hole, and as I said, a lot of my ball here would have moved down the slope. Those guys, once they got to probably 280, 300, I was never going to reach them on a sort of a cold spring morning, okay? And that's quite an important thing to understand. Summer's day, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, bit warmer, might have a chance to get it a bit further up there. So again, I've given myself that feedback, and that will help me a little bit later in the holes. If I come to a similar hole, the 9th is a similar hole, it'll be a little bit warmer by then, we'll be up to probably 10 o'clock. I can use that data again to say, okay, maybe hitting it 20 yards further, they get 280 away, definitely comfortably out of my way. I'm not going to reach them on a day like today. So it's just good data, but it also is giving you an understanding. That felt like if I was honest, was it perfectly struck tee shot? No, it was about an 80% strike, and that's where I've ended up around that 240 mark. Okay, Don't need to use the rangefinder now on the next shot. They're up on the green. As I said, it's a long, long par 5. I can play up. I've just got my hybrid here. A little bit ball below my feet, so it makes my swing a little bit steeper. If I'm going to do anything, I might pull it or hit a little bit of a light fade with it. But let's just make a nice swing. Yeah, like the tee shot, not the perfect strike, but we're up there. And this plays really long. I mean, this hole is 540 yards, plays all uphill. It's nearer 600 yards. So even after 2 shots, I'm only around the 150 marker. But that's where we're going to use the rangefinder to find that out. Use what I know I can do with my clubs and see if we can get that ball on the green on this long par 5. So my second shot is finished here. And this is now really where people will use their rangefinders more than anything. We can now get a distance to the flag, understand what we've got. And again, like we said earlier on in the video, it's only any good, these GPS systems or rangefinders, if you know how far you can hit each club. So you've got to go and practice that. But as we said, you can use the data as you're playing to find out how well you're doing. Now here's a really good thing. The REDTIGER rangefinder, what I like about it, has an extra little piece to it where it's got a magnet built into it. And they give you like this little clip that sits onto your side, your belt, and you can just have it there. It's brilliant. It's so robust at how quickly it sits on your body. You can just pick it off quickly. You're not fumbling around in your bag. You're not going to the case. And because of that magnetic, if you're lucky enough that you maybe at your golf course you use buggies, you can just stick it on the side of the buggy and just pull it off whenever you need it as you go around. Okay, so really, really good. That's an extra little bit that I like about this. I've always used like a Bushnell, but I like that because it's easy. I normally would have my Bushnell in my pocket, but now I can just put it on my side. It's perfect. Look, literally sitting on my side there. It's really hard to initially to get off, so it's quite a robust magnet, but it will come off, no problem. And it won't fall off as you're playing, so really, really good. And you just put it where you want. If you're on a buggy, perfect. So here we are. This is the main reason we're out here to use this. We're just giving you some ideas of the extra things that this particular model gives you. So take a reading. And I've got 163.8 yards. It's that precise. Okay, and it gets you within, I think they say within half a yard of where you would be. And what I tend to do as well, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, just to our left here is the 150 yard marker. And a lot of the GPS systems, rangefinder systems are brilliant, but often it may miss the flag and pick up maybe a tree behind the green. So I'm always looking at things like that. 150 yards. I know then, unless the flag is right at the very front, this is going to be over 150 yards. But if it suddenly says to me 210 because it's picked up a tree behind it, I'm not going to take that reading. I'll try and look to take a second reading. Okay, so let's just remind ourselves of what we said it was. And when it picks up the flag, it actually makes a little buzzing noise. So that 163 yards, perfect. Let's put that back on my clip. That's out of the way. And I've got a 6-iron. I think this is the right club today. Up there, a little bit cooler, probably be a nice 7-iron right in the heat of summer. But today we're going to take one more club and see if we can get it there. So we've got that distance. I know, good day, I can probably hit a 6-iron, 165, maybe 170. But because it's a bit colder, we're playing it to end up more on the front of the green. Okay, it's nicely on line. Again, wasn't my perfect strike. So, but I still think we'll probably just creep onto the front edge of the green. And again, it's information. How well have I hit the ball? What was the distance? Let's go and see what we've got. And will give us some feedback how well we're doing. So I've come up onto the green. Here's the flag. As we said, didn't feel the perfect strike. My ball's literally a foot off the front edge of the green. Let's just pace it out. Let's see what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're about 162. We've probably hit that ball 7, 8, maybe 9 yards shorter than we said. So again, it's just feedback. I've hit that ball maybe just around about 155. Okay, I don't need the rangefinder here. I see people pull out their rangefinders on the edge of the green. That's what's making the game slow. As I said, there's versatility in it, but this isn't one of those cases. So I've looked at my putt, the low point running down that way. And it's a putt really, first putt of the day. If I can get this close enough, get my 2-putt, get my par 5, I'll move on. Be quite happy with that. Yeah, rolling up nicely. Well, we get lucky. Oh, just got a little bobble there. But we've got it within a foot. Happy with that. Quick tap in. Good. Got a par, but you can see how through these first few shots, we're able to check how far the people were in front. We're able to check the distance that we had going into the hole. We're able to check how far we're hitting each shot. It's all good data. It's all good information. Let's go play the par 3 second. So here on the second hole, par 3, from the tee box, when we look at it from we're playing off the yellows today, it says 137 down to the hole. Obviously, as we said, why we use the rangefinder is because it picks up the exact distance to the flag. And remember, the greenkeeper is going to change that flag consistently. So if you're using a watch which might say front, middle or back, you've then got to make a judgment from there of where you believe the flag is. Okay. With the rangefinder, what it allows you to do is get the exact distance. Okay. Now, what this particular rangefinder, the REDTIGER, has is it allows you to have on the side here what we call a slope rating. Okay. A slope looking at, and you can turn it on or off. Okay, on that situation. And what it does, we're going to give you 2 figures on this shot. This hole plays slightly downhill. So if I take a reading to the flag at the top of the screen, so it says it's 142 yards to the flag, okay, but because it's playing downhill, it tells me then it's only actually playing 134 yards, okay. So although we've told 137 from there, 142 tells us the flag's towards the back of the green, which it is, but then the fact then that we've got the slope thing, it allows us to realize it's now closer to 134. Okay, so you're getting this information. So now that's the number I've got to look at. I'm going to use what I learned on the previous hole. I only hit my 6-iron just over 150 yards. Okay, so I'm now going to take a 7-iron from here. Okay, because of the fact that, yeah, it's cold conditions. Let's see what we get. So again, it's all good information. It's allowing us to see what we're doing. But we've got that data. I know how far I can hit the club. All I've got to do now is make that swing to let it happen. Okay, we're nicely online. Let's see if that information was good. And I've obviously known my distances. And we're pin high, just a little bit left of the flag. So I've probably, looking at it, hit that ball about 3-4 yards less than what we said. But we're on the green. Good job. So what it's allowed us to do, that rangefinder has given us good information. I know my ability. We've got a result. We're on the green. Anything inside 30 feet as a professional golfer on a par 3, I'm going to take it. See if we can 2-putt it, get my par. If we're fortunate enough to make the birdie, that's a bonus. So on the green, we've hit the green regulation. Again, that information, knowing how far I can hit club, we've put the ball nicely on the green. Just going through my green reading method. So if you've followed any of my videos, if you haven't, please go and watch it. And we talk a lot about the low point. We talk about where's the water going to run. So if we filled this hole up with water, it started overflowing, where would the water run? Feel that water's going to run down here. Okay, my ball is there. So this actually is pretty much, if you think about it, if this is the low point, this is sort of 6 o'clock, then basically my ball's only just off it. This is coming from between 12 and 1 o'clock. It's basically only going to break a very small amount. It's probably a putt, to be honest. If I go dead straight at the hole, get the speed right, I've got my 2 putts. Okay, still pacing out, so we get an idea what we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14. Just repair my pitch mark. So 14 paces. Again, gives us some feedback of how well we did on the putt and on the tee shot. So 14 paces. We're around about 35 feet away, which is pretty average for this. Okay, can see now the low points we said was running slightly that way, so it's got to be a very slight right to left breaking putt. 14 paces, it's an average slope. I think this is only going to break about 20% of our, what are we looking at, 2 times 14, 28. So we're looking around about 5-6 inches of break. So we're just looking at hole width outside the right lip. Fractionally downhill. Let's see if we can roll this one close. Yeah, it should start to break. Oh, say that. Well, most important job, that's what I wanted to achieve from there. Get the speed right. Done that. Second par of the day, tap it in. There we go. Let's go play the third. And this is where we're going to show you again how we can use the versatility of the rangefinder on a hole that's got a pond in the way. So I've arrived at the third tee. And again, another way you can use the rangefinder. What I'm going to tell you now, really important, we're talking about speed of play. These things should be helping you to get the desired result you want. And what the important thing is, if you arrive at the tee box and your playing partners, or sorry, the group in front are up the fairway, don't just stand there chatting. Get some information now. I'm going to show you how to use this, because this is a dog leg. We're looking at a hole, 322 yards. It's a dog leg where we go up to a post and then it goes down a hill over a pond. And what I want to do is make sure I put the ball in the right position off the tee. So how I'm going to use the rangefinder, number one, there's a post in the middle of the fairway. I'm going to take a reading to that post. And that post is 163 yards. Okay. Now, the second reading I'm going to take is the trees behind it. And that's 209 yards. So ideally what I would like a distance somewhere in between, around about 175, 180, okay? And I'm getting that information whilst the other people are playing. Okay, what I see a lot with golfers is they're getting their information as soon as it's their go. Well, you're wasting time. Okay, you could see that took me probably to get those two readings, probably only 10, 15 seconds. Explaining it's taking a little bit longer. But that's another 10, 15 seconds you could have done whilst the other players in front of you were playing. So again, it should be helping, Rangefinders should be helping us to speed the game up. And that's what I want you to do. So I'm looking for a shot around about that 175, 180. Plays a little bit uphill. So I'm just going to take my hybrid on this cold morning and I'm just going to aim at that post. And if we get my normal little shape, it sort of fits the hole and I'll end up going a little bit round the corner. But the last thing I want to do here is take something like a driver, hit it 230, 240 and plough it straight into the trees. So you can see how that rangefinder, the versatility is brilliant. It's allowing us to see what we want. So now I've got the right club, taking a hybrid instead of a driver. You can just play it up the hole. Yeah, bang on the line of the marker, little tiny bit of draw. Should take the slope nicely. We'll show you when we get up there where we've ended up, and we'll show you relative to what we were talking about, how I've now put that ball in the right position. So should be good. Let's go and have a look. So here's where we've ended up after our tee shot, and you can see just from the picture, you can see the trees on the right, you can see the trees on the left. The tee shot, the angle we're coming at would have gone up there. You can see I've got a good 20 or so yards before I would have reached those trees. So perfect. So again, by getting that data on the tee box, I knew that 180 or so yard shot would be perfect. That's the result we're looking for as we're going through this, down this hole. Okay. Now what you can see behind me is that pond we were talking about. Let's get the rangefinder, let's pick up some data, let's see what we've got. So first data I always take to the flag. And it's giving us 129 to the flag, okay? Again, slightly playing downhill, so let's get another reading to tell us what that is, okay? And that's saying, because we're going downhill, it's playing near a 124. Okay, so they're two bits of information, but looking at it, that flag looks like it's cut very close to the water. So now I'm going to take a reading. There's a bush right on the edge of the water. Just going to take a reading to that. And that's 120 to the bush. So you can see that flag is only around, it's not even 10 yards over the water. So this is really, really important now, that what I do is I don't get greedy. Don't look at that number. So what I'm going to look at here is I'm going to look at it and say, well, I need to carry at least 120. Okay, that's the most important number. But actually, I'm going to think, what was the original number before it was going down the hill? It was about 128. And I'm going to think to myself, what can I carry 128, maybe 130 yards? Get over the water. There's no point. And make sure that's good 10 yards over. So that's a club more than probably I could hit to end up perfectly on the flag. But that's a safe play. So again, the versatility of the REDTIGER rangefinder is what we're finding. It allows me to get some more information. Now I'm going to take one more bit of information. I'm going to take a bit of information to the back of the green. Let's go all the way to the back of the green. And we're talking around about, taking into account the downhill bit, it's 146 yards to the back of the green. So even if you look at it and think, even if I hit this 140 yards, I'm on the green. And I've taken the water way, way out of play. Okay, so I'm going to take, we look at the last hole, slightly downhill. It was playing about 134 because it was going downhill. I was probably about 4 yards short of that 130. I'm going to hit the same club. I'm going to hit a 7-iron again. Okay, so I want to make sure I'd rather be in the middle of the green than in the pond. So that's the key thing. Now, slight downhill lie, so I'm going to feel a little bit of weight on my left side. Just commit to the shots. Plenty of club, nice and positive. Let's see what we got. Nicely struck. So, because I've got plenty of club, Well, it just shows there's a bit of wind up there. We're going to show you when we get down there why what I decided to do was so important, because what I didn't pick up was how strong the wind was. But let's go and look at where my pitch mark was and look at the result that we got. So here's where we've ended up. It looks an amazing result, but I tell you what, that data was so important. What I got from that rangefinder probably stopped me going in the water. You can see from the camera angle, look, my ball is only 1, 2, 3 paces from going into the water. My pitch mark right up by the hole. Look, just here, let's repair that. And I felt that particular 7-iron that I hit, I absolutely nailed it. It was perfect. But what I hadn't felt, and once the ball was hit, there was suddenly a big gust of wind. But by making sure that I mentally said, look, middle of the green up here was a good place, I had plenty of club to carry the water. So don't look to play the perfect shot. I probably couldn't have struck that ball any better, but by making sure I had plenty of club, normally from that distance that would have been an 8-iron, but I took the 7-iron, the gust of wind lost me a club, it got me over the water, I got a result. If that gust of wind hadn't come, fine, it would have been the result that I was looking for. I'd have probably had a 20-footer coming down the hill. In this particular case, the gust of wind was in my favour. So physically from there, I've ended up now, what, 6-7 feet from the hole, and I've given myself a really good chance of a birdie. So, but that was all down to the data for me. Getting the right data, getting the right information to allow me to physically play the shot that I wanted to. And as I said, I took that out of play. And as I said, hadn't felt that wind all day, suddenly a gust of wind, got a result. Okay, so if you're a member at Corinthians, there's a golden rule here. As soon as the ball's on the bottom tier, and there's only a small top tier here, everything runs to this bush. This is the low point, okay? So my ball, if I look at it, this is 6 o'clock, this is a straight putt. I'm putting now from around about 4 o'clock. We're only talking 3 paces. It's an average slope. So we're looking now physically from there around about, so I can get myself in the picture there, might have gone out of the camera angle. If we're looking 3 paces, times 2 is 6, and we're looking about 3/4 of that. So we're looking around about 6, 3/4 of 6 is 4.5 outside the hole, about 2.5 inches outside the hole. Let's see if the wind has done us a favour, but by using the data, it's allowed us to get a much better result. So, see if we can make the birdie. Oh, I hit it on the line though, I thought, it just didn't break. Okay, so let's tap it in. So we made 3 pars, but let's look at it. The whole idea of this video is the versatility of rangefinders. And what we're using here today is the REDTIGER rangefinder. And it has 2 or 3 things that I really like. The idea of the clip, the magnet, you can just have it on your body, you can pull it off quickly, it's easy to use, it's very, very quick to use. Number 2, you've got the ability to pick up the distance, but it has this ability to pick up the slopes, which will tell if you're uphill or downhill, increase or decrease the distance that you've got to go. But the main reason I use it, look at the different ways we've used it. Let's look back at this hole. We used it off the tee box to tell us how far the trees were ahead of us, where the marker was in the middle of the fairway. We could then make a judgment on what was the right club, and we put it straight down the middle of the fairway. Second shot, we had the pond. We took a reading to the flag. We took a reading to the edge of the pond. We also took a reading to the back of the green. Because of that, we had now good information to make sure we covered the water. That's the important thing. Get it over the water, give yourself that chance. And by doing that, even though we had that gust of wind, I still got over the water. If I'd taken the exact club and that gust of wind had come up, bang, plop them in the water. And the other thing we used it for, which will help speed of play, look at the distance. Know how far you can hit it off the tee, take a reading like we did on the first hole. So physically from there, what we did was, we looked at it and worked out how far they were ahead. They were over 300 yards. I'm not going to reach them. So get on with the tee shot. And as I said, if you've got players in your group who hit the ball even shorter, for speed of play, let them play first. Get the momentum of the game going. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. It's going through how rangefinders can help you in a very, very dramatic way, how versatile they are. I'm going to go and play the rest of the course, but if you have enjoyed the video, please subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and I look forward to seeing you soon.